I got a 2007 Trailblazer here, and it has like a kind of wonders. It feels a little fishy in the back end a little bit, and they've been driving it that way, and to me it just feels unsteady in the back. So I know what it is, and let me get the tire off here and we'll show you. So now we got the rear tire off of it. Here's the upper track bar, control arm, whatever you want to call it. So I've got a 2007 Trailblazer, and what we got here, these upper control arm is broke. That one's jammed in there, but both sides are broke, and this socket will fit in here on this one. Some of these it won't, but there's a metal U cut into the metal behind it, and if you take this out and that bolt out, a lot of times the only thing I did, it was really tight, so I just tapped it with a hammer a couple times real quick, just to make it fit over there. And it's an old rusted vehicle, so anyway, we're gonna take that bolt out. It's a 21mm. There's a captured nut inside, and right here is the clip for it. It looks like the clip's there. You gotta watch, these will rust out, and this one is a little rusty, but a lot of these, the box will rot out, and they do sell a kit. That you can put together and fix these boxes. You probably won't find it at a parts store, but if you go online you can. Before you do something like that and weld on anything, make sure it's legal to do in your state, and make sure it's done by someone who can actually do it and do a good job. Let me put you on tripod here and we'll see how hard that bolt is to come out. Now I don't know if you can see the hole right here inside that. If you look down in there, you can see daylight, I hope. There is a hole from underneath. You can get in there and spray penetrating oil up on that bolt on the inside. That would be a good thing to do. I hope it's not quite as dark as it looks like on the camera. But I'm going to take a air impact if I don't knock you over. I'm going to take this air impact. See if I can get that bolt right out of there. Good. Good. So there's one. And it looks like that plate and everything's all still in place. That's good. So now we got one back here. Let me see if I can get you that one. Now for this one here, I'm gonna go to the back with my impact, and just gonna put a wrench on the front here. Let's see if it comes right loose. Actually, so I'm going to figure I'll do this from underneath. One, it's easier for me to run the gun, and two, I'm hoping you can see. There, that one's out. Luckily those come out pretty easy. They got a coating like on them bolts, so a lot of times they do come out pretty easy. Now I will take Never Seas or something and oh yeah, buddy. I'll take Never Seas or something and coat these really good. This back one's always easy to get out of there. Here you can see where she was broke off. looks like part of it was broken, and this part over here just let go. It's the clean part. Now the other side is completely rusted. I like to put the bolt back in here. They don't have what I need, so I'm going to have to order it. The rods. But I wanted to make sure I got the old ones out of here first. Now, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe I'll go get a socket and I'll take this clamp loose. Because sometimes these can be a burr to get out of there. And you don't have nowhere to... See if I can make it move. So it's moving. So I don't get me a big pry bar and see if I can get in there and work that out of there. I'll be right back. So I'll take a 10mm. Get this out of there. That way I can get this to help get that out of the way. When these break, it has a funny drive feel to it. And this thing here, you can usually just spread it out a little bit and it'll come right off of there if need be. Sometimes it's nicer to have it off of there for that to come out past it. So let's just see if we can get that out of there. Okay, so there's that. So what I'm going to do is screw this back on here. I'll do that here in a minute. All I'm going to do is screw it together. I'll just do it this way, just so I don't lose it. And then I like to take and try to pry it around a little bit. See if I can make a little bit of room so it comes out easier. It's moving, so see, here's what the problem is. There's always so much dirt and rust developing in there. If you have a Trailblazer, this is something that'd be a good idea to wash out once in a while. It's coming out little by little. Just however you got to get it out of there. It's just kind of rolling back and forth on me. Problem is my pry bar might be too long. See, it's moving by hand, so it will come out of there eventually. Just whatever you got to do to help it along. Let my screwdriver go. Yeah, here's a hole. Maybe I can get it and pry some right here. If you just keep working it, you'll get it. Oh man, it's biting me though. It's full of dirt though. I see the... That's why those rust out. So I say, if you can get this plate here to bend out just a little bit, sometimes helps. Once you tighten, you don't want to go hog wild bending it, but once you do that, once you put the bolt back in here and suck it up, it'll just pull that back over. Like I say, as long as you just bend it a little bit. Look at that, thing's loose, but it don't want to come out. You know what? It's holding me up. Let me see if I can go above that. It's that, I know what's holding me up. Maybe I can go up over, because I don't want to take it out. Because I've lost them, been framing before. What's holding me up is the clip right here, I think. Give myself a little more room so I can get past that clip. They say don't worry about doing that, because when you start tightening that back up, man, it's gonna be 20 minutes getting this out of here, ain't it? Alrighty, let's see. There it is. See, now this clip, that little clip that holds that captured nut in there is what my problem was. So I'd rather fight it up around it if I have to. If it's in good shape and you're not in a rust area, you can just slide this back and pull that whole thing out of there, and that wouldn't be in your way. But it's got dirt and stuff behind it, and this thing's actually flared out some. But I think we'll be okay. This side doesn't look bad. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think we'll be just fine. Now I will take and wash this out really good with a water hose, and if you wanted to, you could sandblast in there, whatever, anything you can do to keep the rust down. Before I put this back together, or after, because there is a hole underneath the bottom here, you can get in there. I'm gonna try to spray some wool up in there, but I think I'll spray a little primer or something in here. It is starting to get a little thin right here. And that's what happens, all that dirt gets in there and it doesn't get washed out ever. So clean all that out really well. See, it is getting a little thin. I don't think that's a factory hole. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. If you can get as much dirt out of there as you can, wash it out, let it dry, hit it with some kind of paint, even if it's, you know, I'm not the biggest POR fan, but that would even be good to put in there, because POR is paint over rust. It's supposed to stick to rust and stuff. It doesn't stick to painted or smooth stuff well. So all we gotta do now is just wait on getting the new ones, and I'll take the other one out. It's the same thing. See, here's what happens when them break. See the rear end, see how it rolls forward and backwards real bad? You still got one down here in the bottom that's a main support. Okay, so the rear end's not going to completely fall out if these break, but it's going to do this, and then it's going to make it hard. You'll feel it driving it. So now all we got to do is wait some So now all we got to do is wait for some pieces to come in, and you don't need to see me water hose that out or nothing. I don't know if you can see this. See how thick the metal is here. Look how thin it is here. That's what happens. They rot, they rust, and then they break. My opinion is a bad design. Now, if you look, see how this is bent and this one's bent? You want to lay these out so you know you're putting them on the correct way. This opening goes toward the center of the car. If it has this on it, it goes toward the back on this one anyway. But you can see the angle, and they only match up to one way. So we'll put it back on the way it came off, and all should be good. I did never seize that bolt to put in there. Oh yeah, I did paint with rust proofing primer. I want to get this top one in. Gotta work work it past that clip. Oh, there we got her. Come on now. I might have to get a screwdriver. There it goes. And get these started good by hand. I know that one started good, so I'm going to run it in a little bit. I ain't going to tighten it all the way up to a 21 millimeter. Okay, now the back one. I did put a floor jack down there with a block of wood just so I could jack up on the, I don't know if you can see that or not. So I can jack up on the front of the pumpkin right behind the drive shaft. And that'll rotate this backwards because I had both of these off and it makes it fall forward. So if it's not gonna go, you can jiggle this around or jack it up and down a little bit and it'll finally go. There, hopefully you guys can see that. Oh. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm gonna take this bolt out. I'm gonna put a little bit of never sees on it. My never sees is getting about to the end. I need to reach down in there and get some of it out of there. And as you tighten it up, if you get it on there, it'll smear itself around. These ones come out so easy that I'm not so worried about the back ones. Try to get it started from the back like it was, because you'll run into all this stuff if you try not to. That worked out pretty well. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to tighten it down to where it's just snug, because I want the weight on the vehicle whenever I do. There. There we have both of them installed. And like I say, I want to let the weight down on the axle so that the weight of the vehicle's down on it, and then I'll tighten these nuts up. That way it's in its relaxed position. Now don't forget, put your emergency brake cable back in. Now see how this is behind? You can take and pop this out with a screwdriver a little bit if you want. Then just squeeze it back together. Whatever it takes to get that back over top of it. You can always bend it back. I think I brought the right screwdriver to the battle. What do you think? There, maybe. Okay, now this little clip, after all that, just pushes on there. Get this where you want it. I'll tighten that up, and what I'll do is I'll just take a pair of pliers and just barely squeeze this, just to make sure it stays on there. I think that was 10 millimeter. Like I say, this, I can still get to that bolt with this on there down here to tighten it up. You know what else you could do? Either pliers or just take something. That saved me a trip to the garage. So So there's the other side, the driver's side. It just needs to be tire put on and let the weight down and tighten it up. Kind of, if you can see the wrench up there, there is enough room to get a wrench just sitting on the ground, and I can get my little impact on the other side. I see some more rust they're going to have to deal with here before they drive. I think that's just a support for this bracket, but still, we want to be safe. Now with an extension, I'm not 100% sure of the torque, but I will take a ratchet now and tighten that one up, because this thing with that extension isn't really that tight. Now this thing does drive a lot better. It feels better with them control arms on the back.